Hello and welcome. My name is 606, or Steve if you prefer real names. I love cartoons, and today I'm going to be doing a synopsis and critique of Season 1, Episode 1 of Growing Up Creepy. This is the first time I've ever seen the show. Just something I saw I thought I'd check out. So we'll get right into it. So the shows are broken up into two segments, kind of like old school Hanna-Barbera, where you had like Space Ghost and Dino Boy, or Rocky and Bullwinkle would have 2 episodes per half-hour block. The first episode is called The Telltale Poem. Kind of interesting. So first, I believe it's called Middleton Middle School, which is kind of a lazy name. It's not the worst name, but it's not great. We zoom in to the school, and it's Mother's Day, and the teacher wants everyone to share poems. A boy gets up named Bentley, apparently Creepy's friend, reads his poem, and then we're introduced to Nat, who I believe is supposed to be Creepy's brother. I suppose I should point out that if you have not seen the show, the premise is that there's a young girl named Creepy, which is kind of it's a little on the nose for a name. And she was raised by bugs, a whole house full of bugs. Okay. So anyways, her brother Nat shows up, who quickly establishes himself as kind of the comic relief character. Think like, and not the good kind either, more like a Scrappy-Doo or something along those lines. Not a fan of Nat. Causes Creepy to bring attention to herself. She has to go in front of the class. She reads her poem. It's weird because she's a little goth girl, I guess. Excuse me. Anyways, teacher says, alright, you have to go to the principal's office. We're introduced to the principal, Mrs. Monestrat, and she's doing this accent that I believe is supposed to be like a German Sigmund Freud type accent, but it's like all over the place. And, she does some psych tests with Creepy. And Creepy, at this point, I wrote down that she seems like she typical character for Creepy would be that she's like super smart, but she's not dumb, but she just seems kind of like average intelligence. I don't know, maybe it gets better as the show goes on, we'll see. Then Creepy goes home, and we're introduced to Creepy's family, which is a swarm of various bugs, 2 of which have been isolated as her parents. The father is a mosquito dressed as Dracula, which is, again, a little on the nose. I know it's a kid's show, but I would just like to see something a little bit, a nice lawyer joke would have been better, I think. Mom seems to be Cleopatra, but there's nothing really cliche about it. Mom character is actually pretty good. We go back to school. The principal is now following Creepy, and she gets kind of set up as the antagonist of Creepy because she doesn't like bugs and she's a neat freak, and Creepy really doesn't want her messing with her because I guess the fact that she was raised by bugs is a secret, which seems odd. The principal walks in the gym, and Creepy's up there talking to Nat again, who is through the episode doing kind of slapsticky stuff. And they kind of make a joke of it being like a suicide attempt. She thinks, because Creepy's in the rafters, she thinks Creepy's going to jump and kill herself. It seems kind of odd for this type of show. I'm assuming aimed at middle school kids, since it takes place in middle school. It's a little unusual. That kind of caught me off guard. Also around this point, they have some really neat transitions with like roses growing and beetles crawling across the screen. I don't know, I liked them. Uh, more of the principal being kind of an antagonist, which is really weird because she's honestly like looking out for Creepy and trying to help her, so it's odd to set her up as like the bad guy. But okay. Then the principal decides to go to Creepy's house. Creepy's worried, but Nat gets there first, and her family puts this elaborate contraption together so that Mom can pretend to be a human, but she's all wrapped up because she's sick. And of course, she completely sells it. And then the principal leaves and really angers the mom when she says bugs are gross and she knows a good exterminator. That's basically the end of the episode. But actually, at the end of these episodes, they also do a little bug fact, which is kind of cool. I wish it was a little bit longer, a little more in depth, but it's a pretty neat little addition. Next episode, or next semi-episode, I suppose we could say, is Creepy meets Tarantula Boy, which takes place at a carnival. Creepy and her friend, whose name I forget, Chris Ryan, I think, or Ryan Chris, one of those. She's kind of a bubbly, normal, quote-unquote, normal girl. And her and Creepy are going around the carnival, a carnival. And, you know, typical stuff like, oh, look how weird Creepy is compared to this normal girl. They try to win a bunny at a dart throwing game. Anyways, Creepy sees an attraction called, like a freak show attraction. And one of them is Tarantula Boy. She is intrigued by this, and she goes with her friend, who freaks out at the sight of Tarantula Boy, who is this boy with fangs and 6 arms, and knows a lot about tarantulas. And it's a real classic kind of love interest setup, I guess. Anyways, they're talking to each other and completing each other's sentences. They agree to meet each other after the show, and Creepy's friend tries to change Creepy to make her more like her. There's a decent gag about her saying like, "Oh, now you look great," and she has dressed Creepy up the exact same as her. Also, I forgot to mention, Creepy's brother and Nat are back. Her brother Paulie, who is a roly-poly we met in the last episode. I think he's a roly-poly. And Nat are also at the carnival doing more slapstick. They actually reuse they do a gag where they jump into a piece of candy and get eaten and then spit out, and they reuse it 3 times, which is, again, not great. Anyways, Creepy decides to be herself. There's a real strong message of being yourself in this episode. It's a little ham-fisted, but it's not the worst. So she meets back up with Tarantula Boy, and they go on a date, and they actually do a music montage with like a little music video. Which I thought, I didn't much care for the song, but it wasn't terrible. It was a little poppy, but eh. Right, and after the montage, they go back to Tarantula Boy's house, where he goes inside and comes back out to reveal that he doesn't have 6 arms, and he doesn't have fangs and all the other stuff that he had in costume. And so Creepy kind of gets out of there. She decides she doesn't like him, which is kind of an odd thing, because apparently they were having a great time. I don't know. And then Creepy and her friend leave, but as kind of like a last haha for the audience, they cut to inside the trailer, and it turns out that Tarantula Boy, whose name is actually Skippy, his mother is actually a giant tarantula, which is the claim Tarantula Boy made. So, I don't know, I guess that's something about not judging a book by its cover or something along those lines. Other notes I have, there's a lot of kind of lazy writing. And like a little on the nose, like at the carnival, one of the carnies, it's a classic trope of the carny is distrustful and is crooked. He has a hook for a hand, and I feel like that's going a bit far. The carnival barker is not really there. He does a little bit, but he doesn't really sell it the way you want a carnival barker to sell it. Animation quality reminds me of like a high-end Flash. There's not a ton of movement. There's a lot of like rotation and translation. Voice acting seems fine. Nothing outstanding, nothing terrible except for the principal's accent. But that's season 1, episode 1. We'll take a look. Maybe the series gets better. Maybe it gets worse. Who knows? But we'll keep going with it for now. Alright, I'm out of here. Take it easy.